by Tom Clemens, and so everybody rise.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for how much you bless us and watch over us. And ask thee at this time that you would help us to be wise and considerate in business of the citizens of this city. Please bless that we won't have any trouble with shortfall and fuel because of people that try to do harm and be destructive to our infrastructure and the things that we do to run the city. We thank thee again for loving us, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Or is everyone satisfied?
motion to approve.
Motion by Clemens,
Second.
and second by Val, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. Okay, public comment is open. Closing public comments. Okay, for old business, we need to approve the previous month's minutes. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to
Motion by Councilman Val,
Second.
second by Councilman Clemens. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so carries. Everybody review the monthly bills.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Clemens,
second.
second by Councilman Val, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries, so. Now the next on the agenda is the audit report for fiscal year ending September 30, 2020. Okay, just read myself more into.
Did everybody get a chance to get a copy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The city received an unqualified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance you can get from a CPA firm that your financial statements are fairly presented. We had no problems encountered during the audit. There was some small adjustments that we post every year. Everything went smooth, even though you had had quite a bit more activity in 20 than you've had in a couple of years. We had a lot of grants came in. We had a lot of capital improvement grants. So we've got a set of financial statements. The first 7 pages or so are your management's discussion and analysis. This is what we worked on with Robin, and this is sort of a summary of the year the city had, and it also gives you a way to compare the previous year with the current year. So I would urge you to kind of look through the management discussion and analysis. But if you turn to page 13 in the audit report, the city has 2 funds, the general fund and of course the water and sewer fund. The general fund sort of keeps books a little differently. They keep their books based on the way that you do your budget. So this more reflects the way your budget works out. So you ended the year with $165,000 in cash. You had $82,000 in investments. You had $226,000 in due from other governments. That was the September taxes and grant reimbursements that you collected after year end. So none of this was really, it was all collected. You had $117,000 in restricted cash. You had accounts payable of $88,000. It's quite a bit higher than what you usually have, but you had a lot going on in terms of construction projects or road paving. So a single bill will take the payables up pretty high, but because in general, you guys pay all your bills every month. So you ended the year with $518,000 in fund balance. And if you'll turn over to page 15, this is the financial statements that reflect the way you adopt your budget. You had $226,000 in taxes, licenses and permits was $50,000, intergovernmental revenue was $623,000, but that also includes a lot of grant revenue that was basically, all of it was spent on capital outlay, road paving projects, for instance. You had charges for services of $16,000, you had miscellaneous of $170,000. Some of that was these FEMA grants and stuff that had come in from years before when you actually incurred these expenses. So it kind of gave you a little boost in revenue this year because a lot of that stuff was spent in previous years. You spent $1.6 million in expenses, including $510,000 in debt service. I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. And then you had capital outlay, $710,000. So that included road paving, it included a fire truck. It wasn't loads of equipment, but a $250,000 paving contract it gets added to your fixed assets of the city. We had proceeds from long-term debt is $824,000. You transferred in $10,000 from the water system, which gave you $834,000 in other financing sources, which gave you net income of the year of $344,000. So you've gone from $174,000 up to $518,000, one of the strongest years you've had in quite some time as far as net income goes. And the fact that we paid what, $500,000 for the road paving contract. So those are unusual years for you, just because we haven't done as much as that as we used to do. And if you turn over to page 17, this shows you the utility system. You ended the year with $261,000 in cash. Your receivables $104,000. Your inventory was $10,000. Your receivables are higher at the end of September because of the way you bill. Your billing cycles cover, like the October bill only really gets you through the end of August because the way the meter readings cut off. So then the bill you send out in November, half of that is actually for September. So at the end of a typical month, when you see your financial statements, you're only showing $40,000, $50,000 in AR. What we did was we booked the entire bill that you sent out in October as a receivable, and everything that you booked in November was a receivable. We don't have bad debt. It's just the way your billing cycles run, because you read the meters one day, then those bills don't go out for another couple of days. So you're about a month behind on your meter readings. You have current liabilities of accounts payable, $120,000. Your current portion of general long-term debt is $211,000. You have $66,000 in utility deposits. Your revenue bonds long-term portion was $2.5 million. This net pension liability of $263,000, that's how much your share of the state of Florida's retirement plan, that's how much they're delinquent. There's nothing you can do about it, but they haven't fully funded the pension plan is what it boils down to, the state of Florida. And so on the next page, page 18, this shows you the set of books that you're like, this is more like what you're used to seeing on a monthly basis. Water revenue was $265,000, wastewater was $286,000, garbage was $146,000. Your operating expenses included $145,000 on your garbage contract. Depreciation expense is $216,000. So you look at the rest of your expenses, they add up to $818,000. So you had a loss of $119,000, but in reality, $216,000 just depreciation expense. And so it's not using any of your cash. We had capital grant contributions of $327,000, investment earnings of $5,003, interest expense of $114,000, which gave you income before transfers and capital contributions of $99,000. You transferred out 10 grand to the general fund. So you had a net income this year of $89,000. That in itself is also really strong. I mean, some of the things that we've done in these previous years are really starting to reap the benefits now. The utility system's in the best shape it's been in quite some time, and the general fund. I wanted to go over real quickly. If you turn to page. You turn to page 28. This is your schedule of capital assets. This shows what you owed at the beginning of the year, what you purchased, what you got rid of, and what you have at the end of the year. You can see we had construction in progress of $384,000. That was road paving contract that hadn't finished out. You bought $325,000 worth of equipment, which the big part was the fire truck. And then in your utility fund, we had $67,000, which I think all that was fencing. We had $266,000 that was added to the plant, which was repairs. And if you look over on the next page, this shows your changes in general long-term debt. So for instance, what you tend to do is if you get a grant, you'll get a grant award for $203,000. You'll go to the bank, get a line of credit for $203,000. Then when a contractor submits a bill, you borrow the money on the line of credit, you pay the contractor, you turn in the documentation to get reimbursed. As soon as you get reimbursed, you pay the check back to the bank. So it shows, for instance, $203,000 was borrowed on Main Street, and you paid back $203,000. On the Harwell Road, you borrowed $167,000. It just wasn't paid back before the end of the year because the road paving contract wasn't finished. Then on the fire truck, you actually borrowed $274,000. You paid back $274,000. Then you took out a USDA loan for $178,000 that you're going to make payments on. The tractor, the rest of these debts have been on your books and you're paying them down. The tractor, we paid off $7,800 of that. On that line of credit, which was, I guess that was that washout road, we would have paid that back, but we've been making payments on that. You paid down 18 grand on that. Termination benefits. Miss Betty, you had that guaranteed making pension payment for the rest of her life. Well, that liability came off the books this year too. Then in your utility fund, you made your normal $30,000 payments on your on your 2003 bond and your 2007 bond. One of the things you might want to think about, I talked to Robin about it. When you get these lines of credit on your notes, they're charging you a fee, and it's a couple grand. You pay $2,000 at 4% to borrow money that you only borrow for 3 months, then you pay it all back. Then you turn around and do it all again. I think we paid $7,000 or $8,000 just in fees to get these lines of credit, as opposed to us just having one line of credit, borrowing and paying it back. They've got them tied to individual contracts, grant awards. It's just a lot of closing costs when in reality, you're not borrowing money for the long term. You're just borrowing to cover your cash flow. I mean, they were talking about this fire station grant. It'll work the same way. You end up borrowing money so that you can pay them. Then you turn in the reimbursement request because we don't really have the money to spend $300,000 on paving contracts waiting for the state to reimburse us. I mean, when those contractors turn their bills in, they need to get paid right away. And the state's taking 60 to 90 days to get paid back on some of this stuff. So it's just something to think about. But if you look over the next 2 pages, this sort of shows you each of your debt issues, gives you the details, what you're paying, what costs you had, and how much you actually paid down. And then on page 31, it's got a schedule of your debt for all of it, what's going to take to pay it off. Anybody got any questions? I know it's kind of a quick way to go through it, but
I'm hung up on the line of credit. Who is the line of credit with?
local bank.
Local bank.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we get a contract award for $350,000, Robin will call the bank will say, show us the contract, and we get approved for $350,000. But then if you get a second grant, you want to get the second lump.
And their fees every time.
There's fees every time you do it, as opposed to them just saying, hey, we'll lend you guys $500,000, use it as you need it. Because you're
Okay.
such a great customer, because you're paying it back in
Yes.
full.
Got it.
I mean, she's never made a payment on these lines of credit that wasn't the entire amount of the grant reimbursement.
Okay.
You know, we don't hold any of it back.
Right. And then the state pays, it comes back from the state and then.
Right, so a contractor turns in a bill for 70,000, you borrow 70, pay them, but the state's not gonna pay you back for maybe another.
And then when the state pays back, you pay back the bank.
She'll write the check to the bank for the whole amount.
Okay.
I mean, you could not pay them back with that money and use that for another grant. Now you gotta start tracking it and, you know, keeping up with it. But it's just something to think about, because money's cheap right now. You can, you know, these USDA loans are 2%.
And the reality is, there's been years we didn't have enough probably collateral with the city to do a big line of credit.
Okay.
But we're stronger than we have been in a long time and should be able to.
Yeah, because you're not borrowing money to keep it.
Right.
It's just
Oh, yeah,
cash
yeah,
flow. You paid all of it back within, it's usually 60 to 90 days, when you say around the time we get it back. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's not outstanding that long.
Got it.
Okay.
Good. Does anybody have any questions, any other questions?
Excellent presentation.
Is there a motion to accept the audit?
Motion to accept the audit.
Motion made by Clemens,
Second.
second by Val, all in favor? Any opposed? That's so carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to current business, and it's the seal bids with Bella. I put that in their packet, right? That's the one that was on the top.
Detailed bid tab, yep, so you're all looking at it. So good news on this one, it came in under budget, total base bid was $71,814. We got this afternoon at 4:30, I didn't look up the amount, but I know the total grant amount was about $96,000, which our fees were not to exceed $9,500. So we're kind of trying to keep track on that. It's really 10% of this, and we had like, so 9,500 was that. So really, I think our design fees will actually be almost $7,200, barring any kind of change orders or anything. So we'll see how that is. Probably won't make very much money at all on this, but that's all right. We're getting it done. So Hale Contracting is the contractor that did the job the first time, right after Hurricane Michael. So it's good. They already know the site and everything. And so we'll, if it's all right, to make a motion to accept Hale as the low bidder.
Because one person came in, I mean, that's just.
That's right. Yeah.
So is there a motion?
Motion to accept.
Okay, motion for Clemens to accept.
Hill.
Hale. Is there a second?
Second.
Second,
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so carried, so.
All right, and so I'll get those contract documents ready tomorrow, and we'll send it out and have either the mayor, the chairman, or which one would you prefer you have to sign the contract documents.
Probably the mayor.
Okay.
My charter, the mayor should be doing our.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep. So I'll have the mayor's name on it to get signed and send Robin to get her signature. We'll go ahead and set up a pre-construction meeting because we've got a deadline of July 19th, 18th to 19th. So we'll have to move fairly quickly in order not to have to do a time extension on it. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Noah. Yeah, Noah.
Yes,
Wastewater improvement project bid negotiation update.
yes, so did you get that in your packet?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, that
other-
was the second one. you
Yes,
said.
they got
Yep.
a spreadsheet that was sitting like this.
Send it back.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just put it in the back of your packet.
Very back.
Thank you so much.
Right. So Dogwood Builders is the contractor that Mr. Zach Lawson is working under. And we met with him last few weeks ago, Richard and I here at the city hall, and we talked about how to get this project down under bid. And obviously, I think, you know, we had, like I said before, we had 15 sites spread out around the city. 9 of them were on Miller Road. So we said, look, let's just focus on Miller Road for now. That's the worst one that we know of, you know, congested area. And so we also talked about at the time, you know, Richard's got such history and familiarity down there. And to maybe let really just Dogwood Builders do a lot of the trench work, you know, a lot of the machinery work and time consuming work. And, you know, even dig the trench, lay the line all the way up to the grinder station, when it comes to install a check valve. Maybe Richard can come in and make that connection. And that would save the city, you know, for each connection made, that would save the city money. You know, they wouldn't charge us for that connection because the city did it. So having said that, in that price breakdown I gave you, I gave the original unit price, and then the revised, and the original total, revised total. We see got the revised total down to $29,250. But that is for labor only. The materials, I think he had some high prices on them, which materials are, you know, we all know everything's up right now, probably 2 or 3 times what they usually are. Having said that, I put on there 6,000, you know, at the top, the note amounts below are for labor only material we purchased through the city to save on taxes, because the city doesn't get charged taxes when they buy materials. Materials estimated around 6,000 plus. Richard got back to me on that. I think it was right around $4,500 that we estimated at. Now that's not, you know, that might be a little off.
I was also told that was a price. Could very well change, especially with the prices.
Right. So,
Gas prices and stuff like that.
you know, you would want to jump on it quick, whatever you want to do to catch that price. Or,
42.64.
what was it?
42.64.
42.64. Okay, so almost 4,300. So having said that, you know, these prices, these revised totals are for labor only. The city would buy the materials, so you're looking at another $4,300 or so to the 29,000. So and then at the bottom, another note: any amount of connections that Richard can make will be deducted from these guys' invoice. You know, they won't charge for anything Richard, the city does. You know, this is the option for Miller Road only, those 9 trailers really. And connecting those grinder stations out to the main line, main force main. You know, as we get in there, you might be able to. This is a pretty, you know, rough estimate bid of what should happen. Not saying that once you get in there, there might be some kind of something unforeseen. You know, because we're working with a pretty congested area with utilities, phone lines, and water, sewer. So I know these guys would have to be on call, and now I know that they're getting short-staffed here now, so I guess the options would be, I'm sure Zach would be okay if we told him, we want to hold off either to let prices reduce a little bit, or to allow, maybe do it in a slow time, or allow them to get another worker on their staff, or we can do it now. It's really whatever y'all's decision is, but he came back with these revised totals. I don't think it's
Right.
crazy, so,
Well, I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
The original amount of the 75,000 was for all the ones that you were going to do, correct?
Yes.
And how many was that?
About 15.
So you said there's 8,
Nine.
9 on Miller Road?
Yes, you get the vast majority of those.
Is that 9 pumps or 9?
Residences, so they all have grinder stations, so there's 9 grinder stations that'll have an individual line right out to the roadside and connected, which all of them should have, they already all have their sewer taps there. One issue is you got, there's the little trailer park or section right there behind the funeral home there. A lot of those roadside valve boxes, there should be 4 of them, but the people have been using that area right there. They turned it into like a circle driveway. And so they had ran over it, and we went out there, we couldn't really find all of them. So, you might have to repair some of that section there, but it should be ready for them to just kind of like your property, we had that extra box there. So it was already tapped. You don't have to tap into the force main. You just go right into the valve box and at that valve and plug it in. So hopefully that's the case here. And so they would all have individual lines run from their house to the roadside, and they'd all get the check valves installed. Now this one did have the E1 check valve, which is the stainless steel one with inside of it, it's got a shut-off valve inside of it, so you can shut it off right there if you wanted to. And it's replaceable, all the parts are replaceable. Richard found one, what was it, brass? Brass check valve. This one's about $180. The brass one is $35, $40. And it's the same mechanics and everything, it's just not stainless steel. It can still be taken out and any of the parts repaired. Am I correct on that? The check valve can be repaired. It's not like a cheap one where you got to throw it away, it's done. It can be repaired, and it's $40 rather than $180 each.
So does brass hold up as well as stainless steel?
Brass and stainless steel are the only things you can use in sewer that won't corrode.
Okay.
So go back to the 9 residents, what happens to the other 6 that you're not doing right now?
They can just stay on our list to do, and when the city gets more, if you gotta look at your sewer rates to add another, a small fee in at this time for all your infrastructure needs that you're having with the wastewater plant, that you're having with your force mains and your lift stations from this, I know that you got the one issue maybe on Faircloth. It might be time to look at that and possibly, maybe even for a short time, raise the rates or put another fee on there so that you can get a little bit of cash, to make the repairs that are needed. So these would knock out the best. I've always heard Miller Road would be is the worst area, concentrated area in the city for these grinder stations. So I'm hopeful that, this will take out a lot of it, and then we'll get to the other ones as we
Where are the other ones, the other 6?
There was a few on Summers Road, there was one on Smargy Lane, and there was a couple on in Smith Circle, Old Circle, there's 2 or 3. And again, these aren't all the ones that have had issues. Really, every grinder station out there should probably have a check valve replaced. Because it seems like that's what's causing a lot of issues with people just dropping their pumps in. Well, you got a bad check valve, so that check valve is pumping against that new pump's pumping this bad check valve, it burns it up. And now that's when they start getting ticked, is when they gotta buy a new pump after, 6 months or whatever.
But it goes back to the original one that was the wrong check valve put on
It was just one that wasn't, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but it's one that's not gonna last. You know, it's one that the people need to know, hey, you got to change this out, just like the pump is. And the people working on these pumps should know that as well. It's not rocket science.
But you shouldn't have to change out a $200 check valve
Not every year, no, but,
according to law.
well, yeah, but those weren't put in. I'm not sure if that's standard to put those in, or, you know, E1 just came out. I don't know, this was 15 or 12 years ago, you know, so I don't know what the standard was at that time. But yeah, so we would catch those other ones at another time.
Well, I'm just asking, because, you know, we do have some money in our capital improvement fund for this type of sewer issues. Was Zach not willing to do all of them at that reduced price, or did we just
I
not?
don't know, I can ask him, but I just told him to focus on that, which it would help on your mobilization costs as well. Like, you know, he obviously dropped it down from 13,000 to 2,500 because he's taking a piece of equipment and unloading it right there. You know, he's not having to load it back up and drive over here to unload it, load it back up. You know, contractors, there's more money into it, I guess, than you think, because that's always a very big factor. And how many times you've got to take all your stuff and go to a different site to do so. You know, I'm not sure where the reduced costs and the other ones came from, but I can ask him if we wanted to do that, to capture all the residences. And these, and I was saying earlier, these again are the only ones that were manifolded, and you had 2 grinder stations going into an individual line. There's plenty of pumps out there that have an individual line already that are having problems, and we're not touching those, but that's probably because they need new check valves. So.
So is there, anybody have any discussion or any questions? Other that's already been asked?
What about your availability if we decide to go ahead and try to get these knocked out? I mean, how can we do it so that we're not going to be killing Richard and Rocky?
We talked about this before, those 2 guys sitting in quitting. Those 2 guys that are on now. Let's
Question,
take that into consideration at the time.
Yeah,
It would be nice to have some help.
question, just so we have an idea on exactly how much time does it take per check valve? Because we're talking about you doing 9 check valves. I mean, an hour, 5 hours, 10 hours?
An hour,
It's in the middle of the road.
an hour,
I would say another hour or 2.
yeah. hour or
Check
two.
valves. So technically for 9 of them, we're looking at 9.
And listen, and what you can do is, you can either pay him to put them in, you know, well, I guess that's why these prices are reduced. I didn't, you know, I said that,
What's
but
the latest?
the box at the roadside, and I think he thought at the time he was gonna have to put in the valve, but the valve should be there. And the check valve, you know, got dropped from 350 to 150 because he's not buying the $200 check valve. This is all labor only, so you can pay him $150 to put those in. Also, what you could do is possibly, you know, close off, stop the tank, let the sewer build into that grinder station tank, and maybe back it out if you have to until it can be done. It's not ideal, but I'm just saying you can work around if he's busy for a day. You can work around that because you got a little bit of storage in those things, but it's not ideal.
I mean, I'm just gonna say that
Not a whole lot.
$1,350 in labor for 9 of them is not gonna make or break this project.
Exactly, yeah.
I
The
mean,
big
it's something
thing-
that needs to be done.
He's
And hopefully
making
these
money
guys will
off
have
of-
time, but
He's making his money off digging the trench because he's gonna have that equipment out there and his guy out there. And, you know, they're gonna trench that out and have to avoid any kind of other utilities that are out there. And if there's a water line damage, I'm pretty sure, and we'll talk about that, water line damage, that he would take care of that, right? Yeah, so that's him building that in. If he damages any kind of water line, that he'll repair that out, you know, in the field. So, these guys will just have to check in on them whenever they can, if you were to do it then.
So we would just be saving $13.50 if Richard didn't do it and they did it, right?
That's right.
From the whole price, that's sort of negligible. I mean, if they're busy and wouldn't be able to do it, like Robin was saying, as far as the percentage of the price. It's not like it's a big, a big amount.
Right.
Just a thought there too. So,
But I can talk to him about, if we want to try and do them all and tell them what would his price be for that, it would increase a little bit. I mean, I probably wouldn't be. I mean, the unit prices might not increase, but that mobilization would increase, and we can just add more to it.
I would say we can start with where we're at and change order it.
Right.
If he
Yes.
says, oh yeah, this is, I'm good with this, because it may not be as much as he thinks it's going
Right. That's
to
kind of
be
what I was.
once he gets in there and starts with it.
Where will that take where do we stand with dollars in the capital improvement?
It's over 60,000 right now.
Okay.
So we're, and this is what it was designed for, is to help fix these grinder pump issues. That's the whole point of assessing that dollar. And I feel like, personally, I feel like that's where we need to be investing it, because these are ongoing issues that are costing our residents. It's not going to go away.
Will this help y'all if this happens? Then I say, my recommendation,
Okay.
proceed.
so you want to make a motion to
I'll make a
move?
motion to proceed.
Okay, but a motion by
It
Tom
takes
Clemens and
all-
second by Chris Fowl. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so.
Well, I'll contact him and I can get all those contract documents started and I'll figure out the time when he wants to get started. And then Richard will be in contact with him, and make sure they're both agreeable on, I guess, the materials that need to be purchased, and Richard can do that.
I'll order materials tomorrow.
I just
make a
want
motion
you
to
to make
use the
sure
better
that you're
valve.
the same thing.
$40.
Yeah.
Same amount.
And if I don't order tomorrow, it's not gonna be well. They said they're gonna have trouble getting pipe. So I'm ordering pipe tomorrow.
Okay,
I think it's smart to do it personally.
Miss Bracewell has.
I would just suggest that we use the better valve, for something that costs $200 versus something that costs $40. And I mean, what these people have been through with these grinder pumps, I would go ahead with the valve that the people from Pensacola suggested us use.
Well, the brass valve, there's no difference in between the brass check valve and the stainless steel check valve, other than the metal they use. Now, if you want to add a valve in there, a turn off valve, we can add another valve in there. But there is no difference in between the two
But the
check
one-
valves, other than the fact that there's a turn off valve on that stainless
Right.
steel one.
So you're looking about
But you're spending twice the money. It's some
For
completely other level.
$180 versus $40, with the difference of $1,260.
There's a valve at the tank and there's a valve at the road, so that extra valve, you're actually just wasting a little bit of money. Yeah, that's up to y'all.
You don't really need a shut-off valve at your check valve, and that's kind of the big thing that he
Only
wanted.
if you want to shut it off to
Well, you
work
got to
on
the
it.
road and shut it off.
Well, but if you got, it's at your house, you own it, you want it there, probably.
One at your tank, which is 2 feet away from that there's gonna be a turn off valve here and a turn off valve right. You're gonna end up with 2 turn off valves within 2 feet.
To me, it'd be worth it.
Okay, is that a motion? You put that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I'd like
Okay, so
to use the
we
better
just have to
valve.
see if somebody seconds it.
I'll say, this lady has been through it, so I would
Okay,
defer to
it's
her.
been, a motion's been made to use the stainless steel valve. And it's been said by Councilman Bracewell, and Councilman Clemens has seconded. So we have a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? So carries to use the stainless steel. You have a question?
Questions on the fraud? Other than getting a PO number, obviously, to get this stuff done, I don't need to bid or do anything, just order the stuff and pay for it with a PO. I've never purchased something that's expensive before.
Well, it's only 13, what did you say? Whatever it is, we got it. We've got our procurement policy,
Can't
but
go over $5,000 now, but. Yeah,
You're allowing us to go on that property when they,
no, Knowable prepared,
I'm talking about like when they get ready to hook up the valve or tie into it, pump it out.
we'll get easements. We're gonna get easements to do.
Oh. I didn't even end up doing that one. I got an example from, they kind of started working for.
We'll get temporary easements from property owners for y'all to be on.
They said he's gonna do it anyway, so he's on that.
There, yeah, there's not one that will reject you going on their property. But Jackson, you'll draw up easements, right? We just have to get legal descriptions.
That's right.
Signatures, so.
And it would be nice if you could get him to do the other ones too, you know, the other.
Yeah,
six.
well, we'll see how these 9 go and then we'll assess, you know, make sure there wasn't any kind of unforeseen.
Because I know they're having,
expenses.
the Faircloths are having trouble out there. Close to where, you know, you're aware of that.
I think they're on that list.
On this Miller,
Yeah, I think they're on.
on the Miller Circle list? Okay, good.
I think they're the ninth one, yes.
Well, they got like 2 or 3 houses tied into one line there.
I don't know exactly, but I think they're the other ones that were on the list.
Good, that's good.
Okay,
I didn't get names.
Okay,
I might be wrong, but I think that was the other one that was on there.
okay, if there's no more discussion on that, we'll move on the agenda. Move to item 11, which is the resolution number 2021-17.
I'm gonna interrupt this
Oh, I'm
just real
sorry.
quick on this. So I put it on here because I didn't know with the governor doing away with, you know, everything, if we still need to, because there's still money out there that we're trying to get. Tracy did email me today and say that it was not really necessary for us to continue through this process. If we want to go ahead tonight and extend for the past time period, because some of these are prior dates from when he did. And then next month, we may, we'll do, make sure that we don't need to for any reason. But I would go ahead because some of these are
Or we can do them
prior
all,
dates.
because since you're already on.
Right, I would go ahead and do all of
Just all
these,
these, and then
but right,
next
but
time.
next month,
Yes.
we may,
Right,
this may
reassess
be
it and be sure that we don't have to
correct,
do them again.
correct.
Okay,
So
Okay,
number
Sean.
11, resolution number 2021-17, a resolution for the declaration of a local state of emergency extension due to COVID-19, April 13th, 2021 through April 19th, 2021.
is there a motion to adopt?
approve.
A motion to adopt by Clemens and seconded by Val, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so carries.
Number 12, resolution number 2021-18, a resolution for the declaration of a local state of emergency extension due to COVID-19, April 20th, 2021 through April 26th, 2021.
A motion to adopt?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Clemens and seconded by Val, all in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Next one.
All right, item 13, resolution number 2021-19, a resolution for the declaration of a local state of emergency extension due to COVID-19, April 27th, 2021 through May 3rd, 2021.
Motion to adopt?
Motion.
Motion to adopt by Clemens, seconded by Val, all in favor? Any opposed? So carries.
Item 14, resolution number 2021-20, a resolution for the declaration of a local state of emergency extension due to COVID-19, May 4th, 2021 through May 10th, 2021.
Okay, motion to adopt.
Motion.
Motion by Clemens, second by Val, all in favor? Any opposed? So carries.
Item 15, resolution number 2021-21, a resolution for the declaration of a local state of emergency extension due to COVID-19, May 11th, 2021 through May 17th, 2021.
Okay, motion to adopt.
Motion.
A motion by Clemens, second by Val, all in favor? Any opposed? So carries. Okay, thank you, Mayor Paschal. Okay, new business. Okay, item 16 is the recurring sewer issue at John Ritter's house on Pea Ridge, Faircloth Pea Ridge Road, lift station. I know we discussed that some before. But
Yeah.
is there any?
And I think I'd ask was, is there any way to get some notification when that thing goes other than somebody seeing this blinking light? And I think, is there any technology that could ring us or do something?
I'm sure there is. I can look into that more. I didn't know it was for an issue, this issue particularly. I think when you said, I remember you saying that now, but I didn't know it was an actual issue, I guess.
Well, the
So-
only issue is I get a call saying our toilet's starting to gurgle and all, and the lights blinking down there, but wherever that is, I've never seen it. But- And I just wondered if, and from what I understand, what causes that if we get a power, those flickers we get, which we get quite frequently, it seems like
Lately we have.
that sets something so that it's got to be reset somehow or something, just so that it doesn't cause somebody some problem, but I don't know that's okay. Right.
What caught my attention in his memo was he says, it is my understanding that it is to be checked daily. Is that checked by who daily?
Doesn't Michael go by and check? It's my understanding of what when I ask, is that it's checked. When he checks it twice daily. He rides by to make sure that something's not going on if he's here. Correct?
I ride by it more than he does. I don't know, I'm just,
Well,
I'm just saying it really, I don't know. I can't verify that. I know what
Well,
it is, but
and he was saying,
in behalf of that, it wouldn't matter if you go by it right now.
10 minutes.
well,
later,
and that's
Yeah.
what actually I was,
And that's why I
informed
wondered if
that
there's
you could ride by it and 5
something-
minutes later it could start flashing.
Yeah.
Cost.
I mean,
That was-
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably gonna cost, but.
Yeah,
And
well,
Tom, that's what you're thinking about, is something that would be connected somewhere that you could
it
look
would
at.
sense in the
Right,
signal to somebody that we got a problem
Right.
at station 1, 2, 3.
right. I see. I know what you're talking about. So, Noah, are you going to just check
Yes,
into
ma'am, I'm
that?
looking, I'm sending an email to
Oh.
the people that know right now, so I'm
Okay.
gonna try to have something back to them.
Okay, so
Thank
we
you.
don't need to take any action on that right now, just to check on that. Okay, thank y'all. Because I wondered the same thing. Okay, number 17 is donation requested for project graduation. And how much did we give it before? I know we've done this before.
We usually donate 100. We, times are probably a little harder and scarcer this year for a lot of people and a lot of things, so I don't know if we want to go consider more or stick with the 100.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the council? Do y'all have?
I'd make a motion for $100.
Okay, it's motion's been made for $100
Second.
and seconded by Val. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so carries. So we'll be donating $100 to project graduation. I'm glad they're having it this year. Last year, they didn't do this last year. Okay, item 18 under new business is city staff reports. And I guess Noah, you're up again.
Yes, so really not a whole lot right now, but some good news on the hometown revitalization grant that Justin and I assisted Beth Sacchetti and Julie Dennis with, as we mentioned, that's the streetscape and buying the property and everything. It seems like we were able to go to the next round of review. So it says you were able to advance the next round of review based on your application score. So this Monday at 1:30, we'll have a virtual, a what?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, a virtual conference call, Teams call that will, I think Ms. Julie is working and Beth is working on. They sent us a certain presentation format, like a PowerPoint format that they want us to upload photos and information and all this kind of stuff about the application. Go through it, kind of present it to them again and let them ask questions and us answer them and everything back and forth, about 30 minutes long. So that's very good news because it was, there were a few like survey costs and environmental assessment costs, a little bit of design costs and construction costs built in, but it was a $1.9 million request that hopefully we get, and it'll be 100% grant. And hopefully that'll go towards purchasing of that property. It'll take some coordination with the state for their State Road 20, but could be that you would be able to widen those sidewalks out, which will reduce the speed through there. That's pretty common. Naturally, if the lane gets slower or narrower, that reduces speed, and then also you'll be able to add in your park benches. We got sidewalk repair built into that. Replacing all the detectable warning mats that you see that bumps on them. That's for people with vision, blind people, to be notified of every crossing. So we'll have all those replaced. We'll have sidewalk repair replaced. We could widen sidewalk, landscaping, all kinds of stuff. So really hope to, and also your welcome signs, and that's also something that I've been working on with my Orlando office, is they do landscape architecture there, and they've got some big options of, so we're already working on it. I'll present that to the board regardless, based on our RIF grant that we have. But we're already working on some options of what we can do, so pretty exciting that we were able to do that. And I think we would like to see the mayor and or a council member be involved in that meeting, just because it'll help show, and y'all might not know everything yet. I can send you the application. You can review it before Monday, but just to help DEO show like, hey, the city's definitely invested. It's just not these consultants.
Is there something that we can do from home, or do we come here?
Yes, no, you can do it from your computer.
Microsoft Teams?
Yes, ma'am. We just got to, I don't think we submitted all the names, but we did. I can't remember.
I will forward the invite.
But yeah, Robin's got the invite.
I did give him, I did include it on the emails, but I don't think he sent the invite,
Yeah,
unless he
he
sent them
did.
individually. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, don't forget that. So,
Okay. I got mine this afternoon, so I'll send them out.
okay. Yeah, so if y'all want to decide who can do that
Yes, well,
next Monday at 1 o'clock.
Don't we need to be careful that we don't have more than one
Right,
commissioner?
Right.
only one council
So does
member.
anybody want to do it?
Monday, what is Monday? What day is Monday?
17.
17th. I would be fine on the 17th.
If you run into trouble, come on and let me know and I'll back you up.
Okay, let me check my calendar real quick. Gosh, don't do that.
Noah, did you say a council member and the mayor, or?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Or, or if you're not able to do it, that's fine, but, if you can get
I-
both,
I-
I'm sure you don't even
so
have
I
to say
can- I can
anything,
do
just
it.
be,
Yeah.
you got questions,
Just
ask
send
me.
me the
No?
information, right? Okay,
Should.
okay.
And then I guess the only other thing is, we've got the, fire station that we've applied for 3 years, making them happy. So, hopefully that doesn't get vetoed, I guess. I don't know if there's any risk in that happening or not, but, hopefully that'll be rewarded, so.
We think that grants, and we don't, I think it's coming down to us, so that's $780,000 for our fire station. So we're excited about that. I have had 2 phone calls on that, so haven't had anything in writing and official emails, but have had phone calls, so that's exciting for us. And just FYI, we have received last month our reimbursement from the county on our CARES Act. So that was a little over $50,000, about $53,000 for our PPEs that we've had to purchase, got reimbursed for Dale's salary from March through December of 2020, and also for our temporary labor salaries from March through December, we were able to get reimbursed. So I had submitted for it originally at what didn't qualify. So there was a little bit of having to convince them that we were deserving of that because the rules changed.
And this came from the
So
county?
this come from the county. So we did receive our CARES Act funding. So when you see your county commissioners, you can thank them for going through for us. And Daniel, I think he went to bat for us too. So we
That's
appreciate
good.
it.
That's very,
good
that
news.
is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, so that's, you're done, okay? Okay, next, Jackson,
You're up.
Did you want me to just review these 2 orders? Is that what I'm on there? Or-
well, Robin, just to see where are we in the process? I guess that's sort of where,
So like we said, there's been this order, and Robin, you haven't received anything, a notice of appeal on either of these cases. I haven't, in the off event, it come directly to me, which it shouldn't have, it should have come here. If either of these defendants were going to appeal, neither one of them have, and the time to appeal is long since expired. So what the city, I think we covered this last meeting, and just generally speaking, the city now can go and do what is needed to abate the nuisance, which in the Eubanks Oil Company, I think that's maybe cleaning up some stuff. I'm not exactly sure, but the city can do that. And then whatever it costs that is to do that, it can be, I can do paperwork necessary to make it be a lien on the property. So if that property was sold or anything like that, we would be in line to get proceeds, foreclose on it, technically. So that's how that, so that's how that works. Now, and in the particular order of Mr. Petty Eubanks, there were some more specific things because because the main finding that she, from what I gathered, she found that most all of the bases of the nuisance had been abated other than the fire safety of one of the buildings. And so she gave some very specifics and timeframes for Mr. Eubanks to be able to provide a report from a certified building inspector that there was no nuisance for hazard. And if he didn't, then authorize the city to be able to have our person go in there and do a evaluation to see if it was in compliance with section 4D of the nuisance ordinance. So we're into that period where we can send our person to do that. I haven't communicated with the sheriff's office, but I'm hopeful that if they're presented with this copy of this order and that there's been no appeal, that they would allow us to put us onto the property if there was any issues with Mr. Eubanks, to be able to just to do the evaluation. There wouldn't be any work or anything done. It would just be to evaluate. And then there's, even if there is found to still be non-compliant under that section of the ordinance, he has an additional time period to bring it into compliance. And also, I think she did this just again to give Mr. Eubanks every opportunity. And she noted in here when she was recounting the facts that been a tremendous amount of time that Mr. Eubanks has had to try to bring these into compliance. So that, and there again, if there is still non-compliance and he hasn't brought it into compliance, then this, under the ordinance, it could be a lot more, but it's just $3 a day is what she put in there far as the punishment. And so that's really just coordinating with Mr. Millender and,
Right, because that's where we are now, is for him to
That's
go
where
to
we
do
are
that,
now.
because we're past the 90 days, right? Because it was January something.
well,
Because I'm assuming he did not provide the written report from a inspector.
I have not received one, and I assume he hadn't sent one to City Hall.
Then I would recommend we get Mr. Miller to,
Of course, like,
have it inspected.
right, like Jack said, we probably need to go to the sheriff's office and take.
Well, just given the way that,
You
Yeah.
just, I
Things have
think for,
gone.
for safety purposes, that would
Sure.
be, and for any, going on anybody's property, you want to make sure that you're, had the law, with you. I mean, it's just me, you know, if I was doing it. So do we need to make that in the form of motion, or is it, because this is already done, I mean, do we need
the
to?
council doesn't need to do
We don't need to
anything.
do anything, right? Correct?
That's
Because
correct.
this is, that's what I was thinking.
Also, I'm just kind of stepping down, unless there are any questions about those two things. Stepping down to letter C, I think, well, I know that Mitch texted me, end of last week informing me about him no longer being with the sheriff's office. And he mentioned that, he thought he cut you off, would be taking over what he was doing as far as the code enforcement. I haven't reached out, had a chance to reach out to Heath on that, but, that's what I know about part C there.
Okay. So I guess we could just make a note, that we did receive a letter from the sheriff, well, from, I guess, I don't know if Mitch sent this to us or a letter.
Yeah, and I think it's just informative because
Right.
our agreement is with the sheriff's office. just so
Correct,
You
right.
understand
But
that there's gonna be
that-
a transfer.
Right,
of
but then our
duties.
person, Sergeant Willis, has you know, resigned. So
And
we'll
if it's
have
a-
that in our minutes.
And if it's appropriate, I would like to have the commission, have Robin submit on behalf of the commission, a really good thank you to Mitch because he's helped us out a lot with these issues we've had this last couple of years. And it's been a tremendous go-between and help between us and that. So if we can get some kind of letter saying, thank you, Mitch, I would like that to be done on behalf of the commission, be my recommendation.
Okay, do we need a motion on that? We don't really, that's bad, I don't think so. Okay. And actually, Michael Marcus was up next for water wastewater. Do y'all have anything did he tell y'all anything or? No?
No,
Okay, I was just making sure that y'all didn't have something to report for him. So, and he said he did call me and tell me that he was not feeling well. But that if we had something that we needed to talk to him, that if he needed, that we could be glad to call it. So just wanted to say that. Okay, so Rocky, you're up.
I just, like to let you know that we lost both of our helpers, so I don't know if we need to resubmit something, that they were the only two that applied for the job last time. But possibility, I'm sure I'd have some workers back, to put them on the lawnmowers, they were a tremendous blessing to us. Especially now it's time to get back going, some of the worst. But, able or can, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I want to know we have lost them. And sure need them, get them back. And need two workers anyway.
Any discussion?
I know how hard those boys, I mean, I watch them because I've been home all day and I see them up and down the road, it's mowing the heck out of it. So if we can try to find somebody else, I'd certainly be in favor of putting them out there to help on those mowers.
So do we want, I'm just asking, just to think about it. Do we want 2 part-time again, or do we want 1?
As hard as it is to get any help, I mean, whichever way we can go, would be my
I mean, I
recommendation.
just,
Yeah,
Some youngsters could go 8 hours a day, some may not. I mean.
I just was throwing that
Yeah,
out
I
there,
can go
just,
yeah. if you
2
got-
hours.
yeah,
You know,
depends on kind of, if you got one good one, then you're all right. If you got one that you got two that you got baby, then that's different, that depends on. Like once we lost that other one, really missed the lick, because we had Emmett mowing right by himself, or Richard was with him, or I was with him or something, so it worked out just about as well. But, it worked a lot better the other way. We stayed up with it a lot better. They had their route that they went. I didn't mind them working together. I hate for a young person to work by himself. Richard and I would go different places and maybe felt more comfortable with that. I didn't feel real comfortable letting these guys know when it was just one of, like, letting him and maybe right by himself. I just didn't feel comfortable with that. So I'd always go with him or make Richard, or have Richard go with him one. So you've got one that works good, but two better.
okay, I
It is
just was
part-time.
just trying to think about,
So what is their own contract, right? So
right, they're
this
on
is-
contract.
They're getting an hourly wage,
They were flat $12 an hour,
12.
so whether you want to.
I mean, do we have the
No
ability to,
benefits, no taxes, no, that's,
so they're having to do their own taxes?
Correct.
And we'd have to advertise for that.
Yes, we do advertise for that.
I mean, yeah. If I was a younger person, I would start thinking about, a young person doesn't do well at paying their own taxes. And, you get somebody a little bit older, they're gonna probably be looking for benefits, like health insurance. I don't know if there's some way we can sweeten the pot for,
Well, we just have to establish a position if you start paying.
mean,
them
maybe
all
we
the
have
stuff,
to-
Right?
look at what we can do.
Yeah, from an HR standpoint, is there any way that we can pay do the taxes so they are paid, or?
I think for them to be contract labor and it's not, them not fall under the division of retirement, that it has to be straight contract labor. I don't think we can treat them as an employee and withdraw taxes. So I will say this, my personal opinion, if you're gonna keep someone contract labor, I personally think that that wage needs to be up just a little bit. Because if by the time they pay their FICA and self-employment tax,
Yeah,
they're
that's
losing a good bit.
13-14%.
Correct. So I would maybe up that a bit. Now, what might be nice is to advertise for 2 temporary labor positions. If you get the right help, then convert one of those. If you get you somebody that will get it and work, then convert them to maybe an employee at some
Yeah.
point.
At some point.
Wait,
You know, but
Just
you're not
saying,
stuck
that's
with
the-
them once
That's the
you.
reason we lost these two. I mean, I didn't, they went with something with just a little bit of benefits to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I totally, I said, yeah, I'm with you, go, but, and I don't know, like I said, if we could do anything, because, yeah, he might do that, but, you know what I'm saying? Make it a sweeter deal.
Let's do
If
that.
it's possible. I ain't begging for that. I'm just saying.
Well, I had said before, come next budget year, that I thought that just as an injustice to not let someone be
We
building
can
on
do this as a
retirement
temporary,
benefits.
but look at putting in.
Then you know what you
maybe a
have, you know what you have that you're working with, or do you want to hire them or do you not want to hire
So
them?
do we want to, just to do it, like maybe raise the hourly rate up just a little bit right now? But then when we're working on
The
next year's
budget,
budget, then we'll look into
Yeah,
that so that we can, something.
absolutely.
You think so? So do y'all have an idea about what you raise the hourly, invoice, make a motion, raise the hourly up to?
I mean, what were we doing before, Robin?
I would agree to 15.
15, that's exactly what I was thinking, 15, since
Yeah.
that's sort of
That works.
the nation's sort of going with that.
I'm
No,
waiting.
but-
Y'all would go
let that guy know that, and he works good, and he does know his business around down there. He's probably, might just walk right back in there and get a work out there. I mean, y'all been running off.
You talk about Emmett,
Yeah.
Full-time?
so this wouldn't be full-time with benefits right now, it's just gonna be the same,
Yeah,
Contract,
so if I
because under our,
$15.
But we're gonna pay more per hour to, because when he does pay his.
But when you, next budget year.
yeah, we're gonna look at the next budget
Yeah.
year, but that's, during the summer, we'll be looking at that, and then, your next budget doesn't start till
To
October
me,
first,
that,
correct? I mean,
that's,
October first is what we'll run on.
to me, that would be a carrot.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
yes, just Jackson.
Good work.
My only thing is that, it's not really making motions and stuff on doing this. I don't know if we can do it because it's not an agenda item. This is really just staff discussion and everything. So maybe before I know we want to get the person tomorrow to be working, but something that popped in my mind.
We've done that before, though, once we got into their parts. So what do we do?
We make a motion.
Unless it's a,
But he's saying we can't make a motion because it wasn't an agenda item.
it's kind of a discussion there. I think technically that is the correct answer.
It's not, you can't make a motion.
We're supposed to, maybe we have been diligent in the past, like it should have been, but that's really, it's supposed to be an agenda item that's advertised, that there's gonna be some kind of an action taken on it. But
Yeah, I see.
brain, because right now we're just kind of, staff is just giving updates, or here's where we're at, or here's something to think about council, or here's what I need, or something like that. Not really stuff being voted on.
Okay.
I don't know that it'll amount, it would ever become a problem for anybody to contest it, but I think just something, because I did a course on this not long ago, it's something that came up.
We're too late for me to have been approving the agenda to do this. And I did.
You could just put, it can be put on, for next month.
Okay, we'll put it on for next month.
Put it on
Yeah.
for next month. Yeah.
But-
Okay.
But in the meantime, get a call and find somebody. We got it.
Thank you, Jackson. Keep us straight.
Anybody knows.
We want to do it. We want to do right. And so, Rocky, just remember, will help us remember that if we want to be able to vote on something, we'll put it on the agenda next time, okay?
Gotcha.
You just call Robin and she'll, add it for you. Okay, Del Hobbit, you knew you were next.
Hey, we got a lot of work to do, looks like. We hope all this thing comes together. And I kind of feel like it's gonna happen. The firehouse deal. It don't, somebody gonna look down on somebody pretty bad. It's not gonna be just me. But anyhow, it looks pretty good to you, don't it?
Yeah, I hope we get this done.
Yeah. Anyway, and you go with that Weaver building up there, if you get that deal done.
Yeah.
It will be even better. We've been trying to tidy up there and make Carol have, and I don't know if y'all even noticed the flower bed out there at the sign. Take a peek at it when you get back. I don't know if they try to get that white look off of it.
Well, and having said that too, I didn't mention, but we did advertise for it's coming Wednesday for the new roof and the fire station doors.
Mhm.
And we've already sent it to all the MBEs, and for the roofing, I sent it to the two contractors who bid on it last year. So we should get some new bids, and hopefully we'll turn them around real quick. I'm not even sure when those will due, I can't remember, but
Our June meeting.
yeah, be ready for your June meeting, you can make a decision, and we'll try to turn around as quick as possible. But they're already telling me that it's looking tough to get roofing supplies.
So what about the doors? What company did you wind up getting with it?
I haven't sent it to another company because I didn't have the contact.
Oh,
I didn't deal with that, so I guess we need to just contact Tracy and see if she can send it to those people.
The ones that we- Yeah, it definitely go to those, yes.
yeah.
There was 2 different companies that we had.
We didn't ever hear much out of one, the Tallahassee doors.
But as a courtesy to anyone that has shown interest before, I'll send it
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Derek. Sounds like it's gonna get exciting.
It's gonna get,
That's nice.
hope it gets better than worse.
Well, we all hope that. Okay, Mr. Arant, do you have anything?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now Mayor Cutshaw, do you have anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Robin, you have anything else?
I just wanted to make y'all aware, I did put it in your packets, that we got the letter from FEMA. Just let you know that's, they're putting their notices in the paper, and that 90-day appeal period start date for our residents and all on the flood insurance risk maps is beginning. So I think the maps have looked good. I think to most of us, everyone's had an opportunity to look at it, and I have had some residents come in and look at it. I haven't heard any complaints, so I just wanted y'all to know that if, you know, spread the word. And I mean, the ads go in the paper, but we know that it doesn't necessarily, isn't eye-catching for our residents, so
Do you have the maps?
they're out on the table.
Okay.
Out there in the lobby.
I looked on the website and I couldn't find anything.
Oh, really?
Where the maps have been copied.
You should be able to look on the website, but they're on the table.
To me, so, okay.
Look at it, Fran, because I'm pretty sure they pulling me into it.
Oh, really?
And I've forwarded out, it's my next.
They took that area out, I thought.
They said they were going to, that was what the last I looked, I saw it in there.
Did you look at here or online?
Here.
Okay.
What, where your house is?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, straight across the street is, I mean, and it stays underwater, but I've got my letter of elevation, so I literally fell my loan or whatever they call it today. Check it out, you might be okay, because it's weird the way they do a little deal there. So check it.
So they took most of Miss Shaw Road out, but not you?
It looked like mine's still in there from what I saw. Unless I haven't seen, there was one I had, but the last one I looked at, it was still there.
Well, anyway, this is the appeal period is starting, so you have just 90 days.
Do you send in an appeal?
Yeah, well, it's back here then. I think. Yeah, I went with that.
Okay.
Besides that, let's see, what else do I have? Yes, I had, Ferrovial has requested the last week of this month. We haven't rented it out to anyone in the past. They've offered to pay it, but the Civic Center's not renting out rooms right now. And they need, for that last week, some place to do their MOT training. So there'll be 9 people plus an instructor. So if the council,
We did it at my place the last 4 days. Whose company is it?
it's Ferrovial.
Bro, been getting it from us all over.
So, no, they haven't met here. They were asking about the conference room for doing their training. So,
I don't know what they meant about it. They called them, where they was at.
I think they've been doing their training at the Civic Center.
At our place, the last 2 trainings,
The HP and then, yeah.
they did it at our pole barn.
Oh. I don't know. They requested, so if the council doesn't have
Oh,
objections.
I would be involved with doing it, yes.
Okay, that's not
Jack,
They
is
keep
that
paying us on that contract.
good?
Do what now?
We're good with that?
With allowing them to use this company. Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
We're not charging.
Is that, oh, we
Just
don't have a
making it
fee
available.
schedule set up, so if anyone wants to propose a fee, or if we just want to let them use it.
We can't vote on anything
Right.
now, so.
So,
What, no, it's just, I was looking at, I don't remember how this came up, but it was something about using maybe a city facility or something like that. And you're allowed to do that. I can't remember the exact context, but there is an attorney general.
yeah, I
opinion.
think it's
So we're
probably,
just-
if there's a community benefit, you can use it for something.
Yeah, this particular time, the city, wherever the city was, led a community organization to have like a fundraiser and a dance or something like that. So it's not a, but then that was okay. So,
Most things would be okay then, right?
yeah,
So by consensus, we're good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Bristol, anything? Okay, Chris Fowler, you have anything? Okay.
All that Robin's new agenda thing popped up perfect, did good, so.
Yeah, it was easy to follow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I did it.
Easy,
Yeah.
So, very good. Hope it's
I
helping,
like it
and I
too.
hope it's helping you.
It's going to be a time
Good,
saver. It's
good.
going to be nice.
Not have to upload those attachments on that email. It makes it easier to follow.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Much easier. And I don't know if you've gone to it from different devices, but this adjusts to whatever type of device you look at it from, whether it's a phone or iPad or laptop or whatever. It, the software is supposed to, and it is only $50 a month. No upfront costs, no annual maintenance fees.
Yeah.
So I feel like it is gonna be worth it. I think we're all gonna enjoy it a lot. And it makes it more accessible for the public to follow things and see things. So.
That's it.
That's it for you? Okay, I don't have anything at this time. So if there's no other business, is there a
Motion
motion to
to
adjourn?
Motion.
Okay, second, all in